Good evening, folks. Welcome back to another Monday night live stream. This week, slightly less kind of panic, a lot less to control. I am literally just going to be controlling the screens today. No trying to work a board game. No trying to do 10 things at once. We're going to have a nice chat tonight. We're going to just relax. I've got my cup of tea. Everything is chilled. So, how is everybody? How are you all doing? What have you been up to at the weekend? I think there was a few people might have been at, let me think what it was called now. Was it Warfare? I think it was. There was a games convention on at the weekend. There's a few people there. We've got plenty in the chat tonight. We've got a few things to talk about. So the topic, I'm kind of rambling now. The topic of the chat tonight is about starting your own war games club or starting your own gaming club. There's been a few people have mentioned that they would quite like to talk about that one, so I thought we'd do that tonight. And also, it's kind of, it's also quite, what's the word I'm looking for? Poignant, I suppose, because I'm trying to get something kickstarted for a Northeast Mantic gamers as well. So it gives me a chance to hear what you have to say, what things you should do, some things you shouldn't do, sort of do's and don'ts, and also gives you, I can kind of share some of my experiences from some of the clubs I've been to over the years too. So, let's have a look and see who we... I've just saw Chris's comment there. He had his Necromunda stuff ready to go. Let's have a look and see who we've got in. So, I forget who it was now. There was somebody was in it really, really early, 6 hours before the live stream started. And I forget who it was now, but they said they wanted me to bring up something in the chat. So I will do that. I apologise, I've forgotten your name. If you watch this back afterwards, please leave your name down in the comments so I remember who it was. But YouTube gets rid of the old comments when they've been hanging around for a little while, unfortunately. But I do remember what your comment was about. So, we had Phil Wilkinson in, nice and early, testing the chat for me there. Thank you, Phil. Hope you're well, mate. We've got Bluggy in as well, Broken Legion of Gamers. Hello, Nick. I was just saying that you've been a bit quiet. I hope everything's okay. But it seems like you've had a bit of a crazy work schedule recently. So I'm glad you've got a little bit of time to yourself tonight, buddy. We've also got, let's have a look. We've got Carson's Bazaar in as well. Hello, Chris. How are you, mate? Hope you're well too, mate. Phil's just saying he was resting. He's been mostly resting after his second hip replacement. I can only imagine what that kind of pain's like, mate. There's a guy that works at the same place as me, and he's had to have 2 hip replacements. He had to have one. He had to take 3 months off to recover, and then he had to go back in and have the second one done because he won't do them both at the same time. So 6 months kind of recovery kind of thing. So you have my utmost sympathy, mate. I hope you're well anyway. We've got Adam Edgar in as well. Says morning or evening. Hello, Adam. He says morning or evening, BlackJack. Can't believe I made the start of a Monday night live stream. You're here, buddy. You're here. How was your Christmas night out with your work and your fiance? Was it crab? I think it was. It looked absolutely delicious. I'm sure it was nice. We've got the Fomorian in. Says hello and good evening. Hello, Fomorian. Hope you're well too. And we've got Shaggy in as well. Hello, Jack. How are you, buddy? Hope you're well. Just saw you've been doing some... Have you just done a review? I didn't read it yet, but I think you've done a review of Vanguard. So worth checking out. Shaggy Wargaming blog there. We've also got Mark Berracloth in as well. Good evening, Mark. I hope you're well, mate. How's things with you? I saw your game of Dungeon Saga as well. I didn't have a chance to comment yet, but looks like it was a pretty good game. We've got Top Table Gaming in as well. It says, evening all. Hope you're well. Looking forward to another cracking show. And I just saw it's Jay as well. So, yes, definitely going to have a cracking show. And we've got... I want to talk a little bit about Top Table Gaming in a second. I'm not going to give too much away, but you need to keep listening. Keep the ears open. I've got something to tell you about that. We've got Shaggy saying... Did anyone see the Reichbusters video yet? Geez, the minis and big minis are really good. Yes, for anybody that hasn't seen it, yes, Mythic Games, make sure I get the name right, it would only be fair, wouldn't it? Mythic Games have been, they've got a Kickstarter starting tomorrow, and that Kickstarter is Reichbusters. Sorry, I just got distracted, there was something on my phone not working there. It's Reichbusters, and there's been some basic, there was a playthrough, I think, on Beast of War went live today, and also... There was Is everything okay there, guys? I'm just not. I think things just seems to have stopped streaming there. I'm going to keep chatting and hopefully it's saying everything's okay. I don't know whether it's just me or whether it needs refreshing, or I'll just refresh it at this end. Hope everything's okay. For some reason, it seemed to start spinning there. That was what distracted us there when I was watching, just to check, make sure everything was working. I just want to make sure we're okay. Somebody tell me in the chat, is everything working okay? I've just seen Hendrik as well. Hendrik, it was Hendrik that was in the chat very early on today as well. Hope everything is okay with the stream. Yeah, all good. It seemed to kind of freeze for me for some reason, but it was still streaming. Anyway, as long as you guys are all right. So, where we got here? Where was I up to? Yes, Right Busters. Beasts of War, I've got the playthrough on. If anybody hasn't seen the trailer for it, check that out. Probably by far and away the best trailer for a Kickstarter for a miniatures game or for a board game I've ever seen. Definitely worth checking that out. Where are we up to? Matt's in as well. Good evening, Matt Mountain says, evening, Blackjackers. How's it going? What, no hashtag Mantic Monday today, mate? I missed that. Chris is saying he had his Necromunda gang all ready to go. Matt's reminding me it was Warfare. Skullmunch is in as well. Good evening, Skullmunch. Says, not doing the live playthrough of Gloomhaven then. I was going to, mate, but I don't have a spare 3 weeks. Hendrik van Berkmortel, that was the chap from earlier on as well, and it says the Game 4 app is that maybe will help. Yeah, that was what I was talking about. It was you, buddy. Way to Fire, we've got Andy in as well, saying he's in for a bit. Hey, buddy. Andy Sharp put loads of comments in my Facebook group. I've got them here ready to go through them and all. Really do appreciate you doing that, mate, because it's really helpful for tonight. We've got Mark Tukey in. Good evening, Mark Tukey. We've got Stephen as well, says, hey folks, how are we doing? Tuning in to YouTube's most charming Geordie whilst painting that Crute dude from Blackstone. Cracking on with the Blackstone, mate, eh? We've got Ian Scammons in, says, good evening. Good evening, Ian. We've got War Machine in, says, hi, good evening, War Machine. I think it's the first time we've seen you in the chat, so thank you very much for joining us tonight. Chris is saying he's good. Hope everyone else is good as well, especially Phil. Yeah, best wishes, Phil. Hendrik saying he's looking for Kings of War players in the Netherlands region around Eindhoven. So, if anybody is around Eindhoven and they're looking for Kings of War games, Hendrik's your man, check him out. He says he played Reichbusters at Essen as well. A nice game, great models. Nice one. We've got Hal Martin in, says, good day, Andy. Nice to see you too, Hal. Chris is saying the stream's fine. Everybody seems to say it was fine. I don't know. What normally happens is it's kind of like it shows a preview in the corner of my screen and the little kind of circle was just spinning around. I had a feeling it doesn't say I dropped any frames. It doesn't say that kind of anything had gone wrong, but for some reason it seemed to stop at my end. Chris is saying, how about a live stream of Kingdom Death? I don't own it, mate. There you go. That's why not. We've got a flying mammal in as well. Good evening. How are you? You've been a little bit quiet in the chat recently, you two guys. I hope everything's okay. Not seen you for a little while, so not in the chat here, sorry, on the Facebook group. So nice to see you in tonight. We've got Andrew Pearson says, how's it hanging, Andy? It's hanging very well. Thank you very much for asking, Andrew. And Top Table Steve says, Andy Sharp is a ledge. Definitely Bay material. Well, there you go. What more can you say? So we've got a nice little group in this evening. What I wanted to say, and I'll mention this again later on in the chat as well for anybody that struggles in. On Wednesday, the Top Table Gaming YouTube channel, of which Steve and Jay in this evening, do their live stream. Similar kind of setup to this. Have a kind of a topic or whatever and have a bit of a chat. So they've got a live stream at 7 PM UK time on Wednesday this week, 2 days time. So tune in for 2 reasons. So anybody that's in the chat who hasn't subscribed to their channel, head across and subscribe. 2 reasons to tune in. One is because I'll be guesting on their live stream on Wednesday. So if one live stream tonight's not enough, you'll see me again on Wednesday on the Top Table Gaming live stream. And the second reason is we've got a bit of an announcement. We're not merging our 2 channels together before anybody tries to guess and thinks that's what's happening. We'll still be running 2 separate channels, but we are working on something together. So please, please, please tune in. Make sure you put the word out. It's definitely big news and it's worth tuning in for. So make sure you do that. Really excited to kind of share. We've been chatting in the background a little bit. We met up last week and I think we had our first kind of we had our first dinner together, boys, didn't we? We had a bit of a chat about our plans. Feels like it's all come together now and we're ready to say what our plans are. So please, Wednesday, Top Table Gaming, 7 PM. Tune in. There'll be plenty to chat about anyway, but tune in for our big news. Skullman says, watching from my Nintendo Switch, maybe the first for the channel. I think it probably is. I sometimes get, you can go into the analytics and it tells you where people are viewing from, and I sometimes get like an Xbox or a PlayStation or something. I'm sure you'll be my first Nintendo Switch, so thank you very much. So, what's everybody been up to? What did you do at the weekend? Did you get up to much? Have you been painting today? What are you painting tonight? Are you just sitting chilling? Are you got your feet up? What's your plans? Chris is saying he's chucked a sub on this account and on my own account too. Oh, you don't give them 2 subs. Yes, definitely worth tuning in for. So we'll be in the Top Table studio on Wednesday, and yeah, tune in for that. We'll have a good bit of chat. And as if one live stream isn't enough for Monday, there'll be another one on Wednesday as well. Yeah, so Chris is saying he views it on his PS4 and chats through his laptop. There you go then. There you go. I think it was Skullmunch as well, and Flyer Mammal was saying they had about 3 different devices on at one point as well. So let's crack on with the chat now, and I will come back and mention about Top Table as well again later on for anybody that tunes in a bit later, and I'll drop a note in the Facebook group as well. But we're going to have a chat tonight about starting your own wargaming club. Now I know certainly Steve has got some experience from Top Table. I know Andy Sharp has left me loads of information. Steve Evans, if he's not in as well, has left me some information as well. We've got some information from Carl Owen as well. So we've got plenty of stuff to kind of kick the ball off, keep it rolling. So Steve Evans said that he's been helping to run a club now for close on 20 years. Now that's pretty good going. It's one thing getting a club going, it's another thing getting it going for 20 years. So he says, thought he might be interested in some of his experiences. He said, one of the most important things, having a good relationship with the owners of the place where you're using or where you're renting. He says, we've been in the same place for over 20 years now. We have a large area to store all the kit. We get discounted rate for the weekly gaming night, as well as being able to get special deals to run large events. Now, I think that can be really, really, important, because if you can find a good place, and I know Andy's mentioned about sort of finding a location, if you can find a good place and you can get a great relationship with the people that are there, you know, to be able to kind of have it for 20 years, they know you're going to keep coming back. They know that your club's stable and it's running, and it's almost a guaranteed income for them as well. So getting that relationship working is really important. Just going to catch up on a couple of things in the chat here. Matt is saying he's painting his 15mm Romans. 15mm Romans? How many games do you play, mate? Hal is saying, what time is it there now so I can sync up my time for Wednesday? So it's just gone 9 o'clock now, mate. It's 9:15. So whatever time it is, whatever time you are, it's 2 hours earlier on Wednesday, because the guys there start at 7 o'clock, so they start a bit earlier. Skullmunch says, working hard, or is that hardly working, on the painting challenge. Nice to see, man. He says, on schedule to finish soon. And Jack saying he's making up some Northern Alliance warbands for Vanguard for review. Also changing over to new logos and backdrops for the blog and social media. Yeah, the new logos and stuff are looking rather special, mate. They're looking rather nice. So, yeah, so location for your place and having a good relationship. Another thing Steve said is don't try and do everything yourself. If you do this, it can lead to gamer burnout and the whole thing becomes a chore. Spread the jobs around, but always try and have a person who will make the final decision, or he'll not get anything done. Now, this is really quite this is quite key, really, because I've been a member of a few different clubs over time. The most recent one is Newcastle Warlords, which is run by a guy called James Chalmers, and there's no kind of committee, there's no kind of secretary and treasurer and all that kind of stuff. It's run on kind of trust. He runs the group. He's got a few people that help him out, kind of setting up and breaking down. Somebody will run kind of a bit of a tuck shop and stuff. So he's managed to get a group of guys around him who will help him out. But he ultimately kind of runs the group, and he sorts out the church hall and all that kind of stuff. So he kind of makes the decisions. He's picked the nights it's on. It revolves around kind of the way he's worked it, and it works really, really well. Now, I have been members of another group in the past, and I won't mention their name, but that group basically had a full-on committee. They had kind of monthly meetings, they had an annual general meeting, they had a treasurer, and they had a secretary, and a president, and a vice president, and it actually became more like politics and less like a wargaming club. And I think people got to a point where they were actually they were spending more time on the politics of running the club than they were actually rolling dice and having fun. And it became quite kind of a little bit infighting and a bit political. So not really. I think you can go too far. I think Andy Sharp mentioned something as well, and I'll come on to it then. But if you can kind of just get one person to run the club and make the decisions, but with a lot of help from their friends, I think that tends to work a little bit better. So some of the things that Andy said, he said the first thing's finding the venue. Needs to be cheap, but also you need to have tables and space. Now, this is something that I wanted to come on to, really, because if you've got a local gaming store, or you've already got a local club that's already kind of sort of going, there's no point trying to kind of compete with them. The best thing you can do is try and volunteer to help those guys out, or go down to the club, see if you can kind of find a night that would be suitable for you to get your club running at that particular store or that club. That's probably... sorry, I'm just reading a random comment there. That's going to be the way to do it. There's no point trying to compete with everybody else. So, what was the next thing as well? If I can find it now. You see, if you can get a place for about £30 or £40 a night, you're doing well. And to make it self-sustaining as well, you don't want to be funding it out of your pocket. Even in the early days, you want to try and get it. To be able to fund itself, really. Right, let's catch up on the chat a little bit. So, where are we? Andrew Pierce says he's been running a tabletop wargaming after-school club where he teaches small kids to attend, introduce Guild Ball, and they love it. Nice one. Mark says he's been green stuff in the Mantic Giant. It's taken ages. Andrew Pierce said he's got to a point where they're able to play on their own and can watch, help out, answer questions. I know this is different to the type of club we're talking about. It doesn't have to be different, mate. It's definitely it's a similar thing, mate. Really, it's where it doesn't matter what you're setting up. It doesn't matter whether you're setting up a club or whether you're setting up sort of a school club as well. It's a similar thing. So yeah, it doesn't have to be different. Skull Munch is saying, just to check we're not going mad, did you just have some beeping in the background? I don't think so. Was it literally just happening there? I don't think it was, mate. Sorry, I don't know what it was. We got Alex Jones in as well. For some reason, he's he's a little bit random comments there. But thank you, Alex, for coming in and commenting and watching. Extra viewers is always helpful, even if you were trying to troll this chat a little bit. Mark says he's hearing it too, but only when Andy's talking. Is it still going, guys? Can everybody hear it? Is it beeping from the microphone or something? If it is, I can always try and reset something. Chris is saying hopefully moved into the Wall's End area around the new year, flat permitting. Once that's sorted, just a case of sorting the top room out. Yeah, once you get sorted, mate, you'll have the perfect place. Andy saying doesn't have to be about competition. Well, not on a damaging way. To be honest, it doesn't have to be competition at all. It's literally about starting a club. It's purely around finding local people and trying to get a place where everybody can come and meet and get together. To be fair, it doesn't have to be tournaments. It doesn't have to be kind of setting up competition. We've got Skullmunch says it's only a faint beep. Right, we've got a few people beeping away there. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm just going to put this on hold for a second. I'm going to try switching something out and see if that helps. So yeah, give me 2 seconds. Right, folks, we're back. Let's see if that's any better. Let me know down in the comments there if it makes any better. I've got 2 microphones, and one of them I think isn't as good as the other one, so we'll check that one out and see what it's like. So we'll see what that's like. Matt saying venue is key. However, you need to plan for a place even if you've been there for years. We've been at our venue for 10 years. It looks like we might be losing it at Christmas. That is a real shame, mate. That's a real shame. I guess you can get a little bit comfortable in a place. It's always worth kind of keeping an eye out, especially if your club's grown as well. You don't want to kind of you don't want to outgrow it, if you like. So it's still beeping. Got no idea why it's doing it, to be fair. Nothing's changed from what I normally do. Let's have a look and see. Is it really bad, guys? Is it to the point where it's causing problems, or do you want me to crack on, or do you want me to try resetting the stream? Let me know in the comments if it's too bad. I'm not really sure myself. I'll try potentially trying to have a look at it on my phone and see what it's like. See if I can hear what the beeping is like, and see how bad it is. Technology, yeah. Who'd have it? So I'm not really sure myself. I'll try potentially trying to have a look at it on my phone. I can hear it. It's like a little bit of feedback, isn't it? Okay, I'm going to try something. I'll try just turn that down a little bit. Let me know if that's any better. No beeping. Honestly, it's faint. Right, fine. We'll just keep going then. Don't know what it is, to be honest. I don't know why it's doing it. Right, where are we going? Steve from Top Table is saying Andy Sharp and himself set up the alternate gaming club in the early days. It was tough. But Andy's kind of took the mantle as he's busy babysitting Jay these days. Sounds about right. And he says it's going from strength to strength. He knows his onions, does Andy. Andy from Peninsula Painting Products says, I always thought if a new shop opens or a new gaming club, it's beneficial to the community unless someone comes and does 30% off. Yeah, you want it. I mean, local community is what you want, really. I mean, this whole thing about trying to set up a gaming club is purely around just trying to get the local community to get together and playing some games. Now, the reason I'm kind of looking at it is because my local gaming club, the Newcastle Warlords, fantastic club, runs every Thursday night. I'm just really struggling to get there on Thursday evenings. So I'm not trying to set something up to rival them. I'm purely trying to, from a purely selfish point of view, I'm trying to set something up that I can attend on a regular basis. The other side of that is there's not a lot of Mantic games get played in the Northeast, so I'm trying to kind of also pull together the Mantic gamers, so therefore I'm not really kind of intruding on the local kind of Games Workshop sort of major playing clubs. It's more about trying to get the local community together. It's completely thrown me, that microphone stuff now. My head's all over the place. Where are we? No beeps. It's faint. It's fine. More on the left stereo. I guess if you're listening on headphones, it's potentially a bit of a dodgy connection on one of my cables. I'll have to check it out after tonight's live stream, so I apologise for tonight. Mark says he used to help out at the club. There was 3 helpers and 1 boss. He paid for the place, had final say and everything. The venue was good, numbers were good. We supported competitions and hot food. Yeah, that's not too bad, is it? It says, are you using 2 mics? Could be feedback. No, I'm just using the one, mate, to be fair. Unless there's something... Because I've got another one behind me, but it's been completely unplugged. So I'm not sure what that is, mate. Who knows? Let me try... Maybe I'm getting a bit of feedback or something like that. I'll try muting some speakers and things. See if that helps anything. See if that makes any difference. Well, my phone's turned off as well, so. Mark says, we closed for a few weeks and the boxman's work changed. He couldn't do it anymore, so it never opened again. Yeah, I guess when you're relying upon one person to do it all, potentially that can come back to bite you as well. Henrik said, it's hard to find players. I'm looking under every rock, no goblins under there. Yeah, it is tough. I mean, there's certainly some areas manage to get a kind of an established club. They get them going quite well, and they get a good player base, and it just seems to keep rolling. Places like Element Games, if you live near there, it's a fantastic place to go and play games. I'm sure there's many other places dotted around. In Newcastle, near where I live, to be honest, there's not a lot in the way of sorry, I'm just reading Alex's comments here. Let's highlight Alex Jones's comment. So he says, I hereby kindly request for you to produce me with some form of valid justification as to why I was forced into an invalid and unjustified timeout right for this instance, being subbed since day one. Alex, you're a subscriber. Thank you very much for coming in and watching my videos. It just seemed like your chat was a little bit random, seeing this was pre-recorded. Plenty of commenting on there, something to do with putting some kind of hex on me. I just didn't think it was conducive to the chat, so I thought I'd time you out, mate. Feel free to talk in the chat as long as it's about the subject or about gaming. If you're just going to ramble, mate, I'll just have to kind of mute you out again as well. So, where were we? Mark saying he started a small club at work, was fine for a while with little commitment. Most wanted a new hobby, as most was new to the hobby, it fell apart. Need to try and get to Reading more. Yeah, I mean, certainly in those early days, it's really hard to kind of kick things off and get them started. Chris is saying when he lived in Leeds, Wednesday was his regular D&D game, a travelling man, the highlight of his week. Yeah, there's a travelling man in town near me, but I think it's they have very specific games on nights. They have like an X-Wing night. I think they've just started a Keyforge night as well. They'll have a Magic night on a Friday. Andy is saying, I know what you mean. We have a great club in D-side in North Wales. It's great. It's been going for 20 plus years. But the only problem is that it's an hour drive each way. 5 PM till 10 PM. It's hard to all easy attend. Yeah, to be honest, if you've got quite a distance to go, that can also cause a few problems as well. There's a so Asgard War Games, I've mentioned them quite a few times on the streams and stuff and in the channel. They're another great club that I'd love to get to, but again, they're probably about 40 miles away or something like that. So it's not the kind of place you can just kind of call in for an hour if you like. It's a bit of a 3-hour round trip really by the time if you had an hour in there as well. So it's just where I live next to a relatively big city. It's not like it's kind of the back of beyond. There's just not that much in the way of gaming really. Matt's saying there, when things were slow, he spammed every Facebook group looking for players in the area. You could be surprised how many are about who won't know you're there. Yeah, and that's kind of where I started with the Mantic one as well. I've kind of got about 36 members in the group now. And to be fair, I do need to try and sort a date out for that one. Or certainly at least try and get some of the guys together to get a game. But there's no reason why like these guys are kind of spread around all over. They just don't seem to be able to kind of somehow organise themselves into a bit of a playing group, and that's what I'm trying to do really. Some of the other things Andy was saying as well. So friends, as we've already mentioned, it's essential. You'd be amazed how some friends man up and others don't. Really thought our club couldn't have started without getting his mates to come along as they formed the core. Yeah, I think as Steve was saying there as well, you definitely need a kind of core of friends to help you out. Carson's saying, I've got to say the Newcastle travelling man isn't very friendly, in my experience anyway. It's such a shame that the amazing experience from the team in Leeds. Yeah, I've not actually, I've been shopping there to be fair, but I've never actually played a game there, to be honest. Jack saying to Matt, it's very true, didn't know there was a gaming group at my end of my road. I didn't know it was there at all. Yeah, to be honest, where I used to live before I moved to this house, I found out after I moved, there was a gaming group pretty much round the corner from where I lived there as well. The only problem was they were predominantly very historicals. I don't play historical games currently, so it wasn't really great for me. But they weren't advertised very well. They obviously just have the kind of their local group. They were happy with the numbers they had, and it seemed to kind of they just didn't seem to advertise really. So let's see where else we are as well. So some of the other things Andy said. Stuff. You'll need to provide terrain and tables. Now this is really, really important, and it was something I wanted to touch on. So he says you'll need to use tables from the venue. You can make boards to top them by using MDF from B&Q or hardware stores, wherever you are. 3 4x2 boards is great and not too expensive. You can either paint them or you can leave them bare to start with and then over time get some mats. It's worth getting in touch with some of the big mat companies as well, because they'll sometimes do a bit of a club discount for you. And terrain needs to suit the games you play. Many have their own, but a good club need to provide some at least. Now this is where it's quite difficult when starting out. You have to try and be able to you need to be able to try and provide some terrain really, because you want to attract new players, and new players probably won't have any terrain, so it's quite difficult to kind of start out from scratch. This is the bit where you need friends really. You need some local gamers who've got a little bit of equipment that they can help you with, because what you don't want is you don't want people to kind of rock up and go, can I have a game? And it's like, well, yeah, but there's nothing to play with. So getting some terrain together is really important. Excuse me. You also don't want to fork out and really kind of put yourself in any kind of financial sort of problems by spending a lot of money trying to buy terrain to set up the group as well. That's the last thing you want to do. Chris is saying historical like 2nd edition 40k. No, the group near where I was were very much kind of Napoleonics. They did a lot of I don't even remember the names now, but it wasn't even like it was kind of Bolt Action or Flames of War. It was some really kind of obscure sort of historical stuff that I'd never even heard of, and even when I searched for it, it seemed quite niche as well. Call, it said, don't fall out with people who turn up or play a game which is cancelled and annoys everyone. That's what happened to my Warhammer Fantasy group. It just splintered after the old world died. I'm still friends with most of them on Facebook, and they all left the hobby completely and still haven't come back. Unfortunately, I guess you can't plan, can you? You can't plan for a game being ended. Certainly the way Warhammer Fantasy did. Andy also said, "Don't reinvent the wheel. It should have been #1. If there's a club locally, don't try and compete. The hobby's too small." Yeah, that's a good point actually, and I kind of briefly mentioned it before. It's not worth trying. If there's a club that's on a Thursday night near you, there's no point trying to set up another Thursday night club. By all means, try a different night. You might attract different kind of crowd of people, or you might get some of the Thursday night crowd who want an extra game. But yeah, just kind of try and work with them rather than trying to do something different. And he also says, what do you offer? What's your unique selling point? He says he has a great venue and a friendly club, and they put on events. He says they have D&D, tabletop, now some board games, but that didn't start overnight. It built up, and he says that they started with a £4 fee. That's quite an interesting as well. Anybody that goes to local gaming clubs, is there anybody? Tell me how much you pay. How much do you pay for it as well? They started with a £4 fee, which was a bit higher than he would have liked, but people didn't mind, and they've since reduced it to £3 as they've got money in the bank. It's worth having a PayPal account, but most things are done with cash. Yeah, I think my local groups, I'm trying to think now. I think Warlords is £4. The other groups I've been to were, one was a store, and it wasn't a particularly nice store, but I think you used to pay, I think that was £4 as well. I think certainly there's a couple of other stores where you'll pay £5 to play, but they're not clubs so much. It's more about just you're going to the store, you pay your £5 to play, you're using their tables, you're using their terrain, and you literally just need to rock up with your minis. So that's probably somewhere between £3 to £5 seems to be the kind of the range really. Matt says, running a club's hard work even with a committee. There's a lot behind the scenes that players don't see. It's become my second job, but it's worth it on a busy night when the hall is buzzing. You're exactly right, and because Andy comes on to some of his comments later on as well, where he was saying that it's you know, you've got insurance to think about, you've got what's it called, like child protection, what you should call the CBR checks, I think it was, basically to make sure that kind of like fit and proper adults. If you're going to have children at your club, that's another thing as well. You're going to have a club that's over 18s only, which makes it slightly easier from an admin perspective, but then doesn't really open it up to a wider audience. Where are we up to now? Steve is saying, one good shout is it's good to have a spare or a club armies for gamers, for people who come in with nothing and are just having a look. You'd be surprised how many potential members just wander in. That's quite an interesting thing to do. I guess it's something you can either build up to, or you could all kind of take a few models away to each and try and paint a club army. That's quite a nice thing to do as well. Mark Tukey says you need storage. We had a room that was lockable, as the hall was used by lots of different groups. Had tons of terrain that cost and took a lot of work, but people just abused it as it wasn't theirs. Yeah, that was something similar that happened at a club I used to go to as well, where the terrain was kind of in boxes. It was in a bit of a storage area, but people didn't really look after it. They just kind of threw it back in a box, and that was a real shame. I think if it had been their own personal stuff, they probably would have looked after it. But yeah, that wasn't particularly good either. We've got Chris is saying what would be interesting is if you linked games with other clubs. I'm thinking like huge scale war or Mantica or similar, track victories for different teams. Yeah, I'd considered kind of branching out, and could you like almost run in conjunction with another club, like a northern kind of like a northern version of the club and the southern version of the club, and try and do some kind of sort of online campaign or something like that. We've got, where are we up to? We've got Bazza in as well from Underdog Painting. Evening, Bazza, how you doing, mate? We've got Panzer in as well. Hiya, Pete. Happy birthday to you, buddy. He says that Leicester Fat Cats, they pay £2 a night. Matt's saying it's £3.50 a night or £12 a month. That's quite interesting as well, having like a monthly subscription. There's a board game cafe just opened near me, and they charge, oh, I'm trying to remember what it is now. It's either, I think it's £5 for a, or is it £3? £3 or £5 for a kind of 3 hour session, so you can come in and play board games. And that's purely just because you're kind of taking up space, I guess, do you know what I mean? But they do a membership as well, where I think it's something like £25 for 6 months, and you can game as much as you want for that as well. So yeah, memberships is something that's quite interesting. Chris is saying at the end of the month, tally the victories together, territories taken or something. Yeah, that'd be quite interesting, that. Flyer Mammal says CRB check. That was it. I couldn't remember what it was called. Steve from Steve Smallworld's just come in. He says, sorry he's late. He's got a trainee. I have a trainee tonight. No worries, buddy. Don't worry about it. Nice to have you in. Skullmunch says the group we went to let you have the first night for free, so you could come down and check it out. Yeah, quite a lot, I think, do that. Kind of like the first hit's free, if you like. But to encourage people to come down, have a look around. You don't have to pay. Just come down, sort of try a game out, have a chat, see if you kind of, how you feel about the place. Jack's saying there was a local shop that he used to go to, which was great. We met a lot of people through that shop before it closed. He says, clubs near me seem to be on days I work, I can't make. That's my biggest thing. So in between, Monday nights I do my live stream. I tend to work away one night a week as well. My wife works away. So Thursdays tend to be either when I'm away or it's when my wife's away. So that really kind of clashes for Thursdays, which is why I can't get to my local club at the minute. Tuesdays wouldn't probably be a bad night for me, I think. But there's nothing on a Tuesday. There's a club near me that has a Saturday night gaming. But Saturday is kind of my weekend. I either have the twins over, or me and my wife would kind of spend the night together, you know, a bottle of wine or something like that, and trying to catch up after not seeing each other for the week. So, yes, weekend evenings are a little bit funny as well. I just wish there was a store that was a little bit closer. There's a one in Sunderland, which is a little bit of a drive away, but I'd have to try and kind of sort of pre-arrange stuff. It's also very heavily Games Workshop influenced, so that's one of the things. We've got Cyclone8974. Good evening, Cyclone. Says the club thing doesn't seem that big in the US. We do local game stores. Yeah, no, I think that's one of the. It's probably something to touch on. Really, it seems to be one of the big differences between the US and the UK. I'm not sure about how other countries and other regions do, but in the UK, there's not a lot of game stores, so people tend to meet like at church halls or community centres or even in rooms above pubs and bars. In the US, it seems that people congregate at a store more, and I think if we could, maybe if we had more stores, people would play there, and if people would play there, then the stores would potentially kind of be profitable and be able to last. Because I think what tends to happen if you play in a store, if you just call in, you kind of want to pick something up, don't you? When you're there, you get caught in that. Oh well, I'm here. I better buy something kind of thing. Pete says that at Fatcast they do demos for game companies. I'm not surprised, mate, that with the quality of your terrain and the games that you guys put on the demo games, I'm not surprised you do demo stuff for companies. Pete saying thanks. Yep, happy birthday, buddy. So, what else have we got? So, Steve is saying try and get as many people involved in the club's activities as you can. Running a campaign or a mini tournament is always a good idea. Yeah, that is a good thing. And then Ruth's just posted a picture there. I'm going to share that now. That's what I was like, having me kind of grinning back at myself there. That's a bit weird now. So what we got a switch there. Looks like we got a is it a switch, a phone, is that a TV, an iPad, something like that? Bloody hell. So I've really only got like 2 people watching me, but everybody else is in their house. Thank you very much. It's all appreciated. Mark is saying he had 1 person in the kitchen, 2 running set games, 1 person free to play. Anyone that didn't have a game arranged, we also had spare armies. I think it depends on the size. I think certainly the Newcastle Warlords, it seems to just run quite well. I think it's a nice sized group. There's about 30 go there. There's many different games going on. There's a few guys go a bit early to help get set up, and there's people who will help kind of break down at the end of the night. But in general, everybody's gaming. There's nobody kind of running things. If you want a cup of tea, go and help yourself. If you want something from the little tuck shop kind of thing, then I think it's kind of done on a trust basis, I think. Skullmunch is saying the American-friendly local gaming stores the size of our supermarkets. We have tiny rooms down dodgy backhand lanes. And the US stores have more space. Do the US stores have more space? I think the ones we see certainly have more space. Maybe sort of square footage for stores is cheaper in the US. I think we tend to see the pictures of the bigger ones as well. I'm sure there's some bigger stores if you think places like Element Games, places like Wayland Games. There's certainly some bigger stores, Firestorm Games. There's some bigger ones in the UK. However, you're right. Majority of kind of stores in the UK they're very small because you've got to make that kind of size of store pay, haven't you? You can't afford to have this huge big store, tiny little bit of stock at the back, and have hundreds of tables and then not make money from it. You really do have to have a big online presence, I think, to be able to fund a gaming centre as well. Potentially, when you get to a certain size, you can have a bar in there, you can do food in there, keep people gaming, make a bit of money on the side from that as well. So there's a number of things you can do, but certainly when stores start out, I guess it's really hard to get started. Skullmunch is saying, through the Xbox on the TV, the Switch, a tablet and a phone, the other phone's taking the pick. And Cyclone is saying, yes, stuff can be bigger here and run cheaper maybe. Yeah, it'd be interesting to know. I mean, maybe Cyclone, maybe you know, do your local stores, do they tend to do a lot of online business? Do they have kind of big online orders as well? Or does it tend to just be sort of servicing a local community? Jack says, I think there's not a lot of local stores here in the UK, as retail space is expensive. Yeah, I've looked into it myself a couple of times because I would love to do something like that. And what I've found is you need 100%, you need some online business. You will not sell enough in a store on its own to kind of to get anywhere, I think, if you don't have an online presence. You also need to be close to kind of local transport links. A lot of people in gaming will get a bus, or they'll get a metro, or they'll need somewhere to park the car. So you need to be in a good location for transport links. City centres are great for kind of pass and trade, but they're not they're not really affordable. So you're going to end up with something slightly out of town, and you need something big enough to get plenty of tables in, to get enough people in playing. But you need stock. You need plenty of stock on your shelves. People don't want to come in and kind of browse around and just go, oh, well, he's never got anything in. So it's quite expensive to start up, I think. I mean, certainly Carson's there. Chris, he's setting up a sort of a store at the minute in the local area. It'll be in. I don't know where I know where it is roughly, Chris, but I don't know what the size of it and stuff's like. It'll be in. I know you're kind of coming on the back of an already relatively successful store as well, so it'll be interesting. Interesting to see how you kind of what you think of it, mate. Skullmunch is saying, yeah, I think so. Most of our shops are full of stock rather than gaming space. That's interesting, isn't it? We've got King John in. Good evening, King John. He says game stores in smaller cities are mostly too small. Yeah, definitely. Got Adam Rogers in as well. Good evening, Adam. He says we're a tiny island, not a continent-sized country. We are, but there's got to be a way, hasn't it? There has to be an answer to that. There's certainly enough people watching. There's enough people on social media playing games. I mean, there's enough people in the Northeast, like certainly where I am, there's enough people playing. Like, otherwise, shops like Games Workshop wouldn't survive. You know, shops like sort of even things like Traveling Man and things like Forbidden Planet. There's a geek culture. You know what I mean? It's a university city. There's enough people around that I'm surprised if you had a really good space and you made it look nice as well, which I think is really important. Too many places start up on the cheap and kind of look like dirty sheds, if you like. Chris is saying definitely online is a must. Cyclone saying no, just service the locals. Weird now that you mention it. I assume, Cyclone, that you have a pretty good kind of local community there as well then, because I looked, like I say, I've looked at this a couple of times and I got to the point where I had a place lined up to rent. I had discussions with distributors and suppliers, and the margins are just not big. You don't make a lot of money. You make money by selling a lot of it, and I honestly just don't think that kind of local pass and trade would be enough. You'd need to have that online store. So I'm assuming you have quite a big sort of community, if you like. Mark is saying you need social media to advertise and arrange games. You do. That reminds me of something that Henrik mentioned earlier on, and this was about the Game 4 app, which was made by Tabletop Minion. He's got this Game 4 app, which allows you to kind of link local gamers together. It's probably a good way to kind of start as well, see if there's anybody on there. I know it's a relatively new app, but it's certainly a way to kind of see if there's a local community around you. Steve is saying the Exeter club's run in a big store, but has a hairdresser's shop at the front of the unit to pay rent. The club and game store entrance is at the side of the hairdressers. You tend to find that quite a lot. So the local store to me, which is not that local in Sunderland, started up on its own kind of premises, didn't, for whatever reason, had to close down, and they've now opened up in a smaller premises, which is above a family-run garage. So if you can get some cheap, kind of space like that, it's a good way to kind of start up. If you can share a business, so for example, if you can find a business that's got a bit more space than it needs, and you can kind of almost sublet, that's another way to kind of make it work. King John is saying we have a Magic the Gathering store. I don't play Magic, but what I have heard, and if the guys from Top Table are around, they might be able to tell me. I've heard of stores that just run from Magic the Gathering sales because it sells so much. Now, is that right? I'm not that big into Magic the Gathering. Maybe it's not the case now these days, but certainly it used to be a point where you could almost survive just off selling Magic cards. That just blows my mind, that. Matt's saying that Dark Sphere's new store can hold 400 gamers. they've obviously seen something, because that's their second store now, Matt, isn't it? They've obviously seen something where they've got an opportunity to kind of to grow. Jack saying online is key. Also, you have to factor in how much companies say you have to stock. If you're near the centre of town or train stations, that will drive up retail space. Yeah, it's kind of a blessing and a curse, isn't it? Like if you stock up on a industrial estate somewhere in a little kind of sort of cabin somewhere, that can be quite hard. There's a store not too far from me where I actually went at the weekend to pick up my Keyforge decks, and they do a lot of board games. And it's not the biggest of stores. It's got a lot of stock, and I don't think they have an online presence either. I struggle to find their online store or anything. But they seem to manage to keep going. I don't know how profitable it is, but maybe they've got a small community that kind of keeps them going, and maybe they've got some deal with their supplies of kind of sale or return. Who knows? Where are we? Chris is saying, in the UK, Forbidden Planet have the hold of comic shops. Most people just go to them. We struggled with our comics because of that, but we carved out our area. Yeah, I think it's almost catch-22, isn't it? It's almost Forbidden Planet kind of. People just know that that's where to go to buy comics. You kind of have to just plow away with it and have another way of making money alongside it as well. Jack saying to Matt that he still remembers the small store at Waterloo. Is that still there? I know Darksphere have a good online service as well, so maybe that's allowed them to grow a bit. Chris is saying, sadly, Diamond Comics Distribution are the worst company ever. I don't know anything about their comic distribution, to be fair. Pete's saying he went to get a store today called Black Dragon in Hinckley. It was a large store that only just started doing the online now. Very friendly and good stock levels. I've heard of Black Dragon, so it's obviously a decent size now. I do wonder how they manage to kind of keep going, unless I'm completely oblivious to just how much it sells. Jack saying that Magic Madhouse is big on Magic cards. Yeah, I think they're huge. Chris is saying that in our area, Andy, I'd say no. They've been a slow seller for us. Yu-Gi-Oh is a thing for us in terms of cards. Yu-Gi-Oh cards. You learn something new every day. I didn't realise they were such a big seller, mate. Skullmunch is saying on the lines of Magic, played my first games of Keyforge today. Really enjoyed it. And played it online whilst my decks were being delivered. Did you play it on Tabletop Simulator, mate? Cyclone is saying he thinks Magic keeps a lot of these stores afloat. Yeah, speaking of Magic and speaking of Keyforge, it'll be interesting to see if this gets a foothold. I'm really enjoying it. For anybody that, let me open up. This is my particular deck. Let me just let me hide away my my scanner so you don't scan those. So for those that haven't seen them, these are the cards, and they have the unique names on the back. I would get close to the camera, but I've turned the focus off on it at a minute, so it just keeps focusing on me. But yeah, so my deck is called the Altruistic Convent. Or Convert, sorry, not Convent. The Altruistic Convert. And I really like it. I played a few games at the weekends with the family. I bought 4 decks, one for each of my 2 oldest lads, and one for me, one for my wife. And we were playing at the weekend. I really enjoyed it. It's got a nice mechanic to it. It doesn't have any deck building, which I personally really don't enjoy deck building. I'm not very good at it, and it's a side of the game that I don't really like to spend time on. I really like the idea of just picking these up and having a game. But it'll be interesting to see if this has any impact on that Magic crowd, because you don't need to spend a fortune on this. You could, in theory, buy one deck and not buy anything else. So it will be interesting to see how this takes off. Where are we up to? Pete's saying the store is Leicester Gifts for Geeks. Oh, store in Leicester is Gifts for Geeks. Big online store, but the shop front is crap. Dirty, cold, dirty, not friendly either. Too clicky. Yeah, that. If I was to open a store in the northeast now, you have to have the money to invest in making it like inviting and welcoming, and just kind of, you know, make it a place that people want to come and hang out. Because I've seen too many stores kind of drop by the wayside. There was one place I used to go to, and I'm not going to mention the name, but the store was okay, but they had a gaming space out the back, and they used to have a dog that would kind of wander around, and it would crap on the floor underneath the gaming tables. Nobody would dare put their bags under the tables. Everybody put their bags on top of the tables, and I didn't go there very often for that particular reason. I couldn't believe people kept going back. It's just like you've got to have like an inviting place for people. Matt saying Magic Madhouse runs on Magic the Gathering. Thing is, you can fit 8 Magic the Gathering players playing in the same space as one 40k game. Now that's a key point. That's one of the reasons why kind of card gamers can really kind of like fill out a place. And I guess when they come to store, they want to buy decks, don't they? They want to buy more stuff. Jack saying Dogsphere moved to a bigger store not too far away. Steve saying that he doesn't play, but Jay used to. Pete saying you've got board game cafes opening now. Maybe that's the way forward. Yeah, like I said, there's a one just opened in Newcastle near me. I've not had a chance to go yet. It's only been open about a week and a half. But I'm hoping to get up there maybe this weekend coming. But they're kind of, I'm assuming it's a cafe first and foremost, and then you can rent from the library of games that they have. I really hope it kind of it does well, and I hope people support it, because it's in the city centre. I can't imagine rent's cheap. So yeah, I really hope it does do well. Jack saying that Matty thinks they've got a store in Enfield. Steve saying that Element always got Magic dotted about in the hall. It seems to be pretty much everywhere if you go to kind of most gaming spaces anyway. I think it's one of them things where you can kind of chuck a deck in your bag, can't you? So it's not like you're humping around an army in a load of terrain or something. Chris is saying Konami is putting out new expansions every month. It's almost shocking how fast they're putting them out to keep up with the releases. It's expensive. I played Star Wars Destiny for quite a while, and it got to a point where I just physically just couldn't keep up with it. The expense was horrendous. That it kind of settles into a meta, and then there's a new release comes almost as soon as a new meta kind of settles in, and it keeps the game interesting and it keeps it fresh. But it's like an arms race trying to catch up. And if you don't buy the latest kind of expansion, the latest wave, the latest release, you're almost out of it. It's fine if you're playing it in a kind of a friendly kind of just, having a few games with your mates or whatever. But what I found with Destiny was it was really competitive, and you had to kind of keep up with it to not feel like you were just getting your butt kicked every time you played. What I find now with Keyforge, why I'm giving this one a shot, is because everybody's on the same level playing field. It doesn't matter if I've bought 500 of these decks and you've only bought one. We still have a game. There's no deck building. You can't switch your cards out. The deck is the deck, and that's what you play with. You might find a deck that seems quite powerful. There's some balancing mechanics in there that'll sort of give a bit of a handicap to that deck in more competitive tournaments and stuff. But I just like the idea of that. I can dip in and out whenever I feel like it. Skullmunch is saying, played it right in the browser. Have it on in the browser. I've not checked that out. I'll have to have a look at that. We've got on Tabletop Simulator as well. Jack saying they hold Tainlawn Wargaming Club now. I've heard of Tainlawn. They were quite big in the War Machine crowd, and some of the guys from there used to do a podcast for War Machine. That's why they kind of sticks in my mind. Sean saying he saw some Keyforge decks on eBay selling for over 300 quid. I just don't see why they would, mate. It baffles me that why anybody would pay over the odds for a deck. I mean, yeah, it might be a bit more powerful, but I just don't get it. Cyclone says clicks on helpful to stores. Neither is dog crap, to be fair. No, it definitely isn't, mate. Matt saying he's popping in this Sunday to see the Tainlawn boys. Mark says, are you thinking of doing some plays with Keyforged? Watched it a couple of times, but it looks just like Pokemon. The big playmat looks awesome, though. Yeah, I'd quite like to be fair. I think I will. It's pretty straightforward to play. To be honest, the playthroughs I've seen make it look more difficult than it is, because I think until you've had a go of it, it's quite hard to kind of track what's going on and why things are happening. But it's actually pretty simple and pretty straightforward. As soon as I couldn't get my hands on a starter box, so I haven't got any of the tokens. So I've been using like alternative tokens to play, and I want to get one of those 2-player starter mats as well. The 2-player mats rather. So once I pick one of those up and I pick up some tokens, I think I might do it maybe a live stream, or I'll play a few games through with it, because I really enjoy the game. But I want it to be obvious what's happening rather than me using random tokens for things. Chris is saying card gaming fatigue. Yeah, I bet you can do that, mate. Definitely. Flying Mammal, Ruth saying, that's it, I'm quitting miniature games, back to card games. I quite like to have a bit of a side card game for when I'm painting my miniatures, and so like when I'm in the middle of painting up like sort of minis for a game and I can't play because they're in the middle of being painted, the card game's a nice little sideline for me. That was how I got into Destiny. We've got Gary Powell in. Good evening, Gary. Hope you're well, buddy. This has been part of a gaming group in Nottingham since it started 4 years ago. Always run out the function rooms in pubs with weekly subs, mix it up with board games as well as mini games. And obviously Nottingham is quite a competitor for gaming. Yeah, I can imagine that, man. Is there a lot of clubs around in Nottingham? I guess almost you could probably run it from the staff of some of the companies there, to be fair. Skullmunch says the Crucible.online. It looks like it's made by the same people that did Gintech, the one for Netrunner. I'll have to check that out then, mate. I didn't even realise that was a thing. Thank you for that. Jack saying to Matt he needs to get down there. And Skullmunch says, if you're up for playing some online Keyforge, definitely, mate. Let me check that out after this tonight, because it's one of those things. It doesn't matter if I'm away with work and I can't kind of get to a gaming club or anything like that. If I can play that online, that's so much the better, mate. Yeah, let me check it out and see how we do it. Crucible.online. Okay, right, I must check that out, mate. But yeah, I quite enjoy it. I mean, I was quite surprised just kind of how small the decks are. There's only 36 cards in a deck. There is 12 cards from one of each of 3 houses, and you can only play cards in your hand from that one house. The artwork is kind of... Think of this as kind of League of Legends-esque from a style point of view. It's a lot less kind of high fantasy than something like Magic, if you can call that high fantasy, but you know what I mean. This is very much more... It feels like it's for the League of Legends crowd, that kind of stuff. Mark says, off topic. I quite like off topic stuff, mate. That's fine. Has anyone seen any good Black Friday deals? Maybe a thread on the Facebook group for good deals. Yes, definitely, mate. Only things I've seen so far is I saw Exploding Kittens was 48% off today in the Amazon sale and Black Friday sale. I think we're just kind of getting started, to be fair, aren't we? I've also seen as well today, Mantic have sent out their newsletter today, or their email, and they've got a Black Friday sale on Friday, but they're drip feeding through the week, letting you know some of the stuff that's coming up. And if I remember right, the thing that caught my eye was the Walking Dead neoprene mats. They've got some for sale for £10 each. So maybe I shouldn't have said that. I should have kept it quiet, and then I could dive in and pick some up. But yeah, that's probably worth having a look at as well. But yeah, I'll definitely do that, Mark. I'll get a thread up and we'll do some things. While I mention that as well, on the bottom of each of my videos, you'll see in the description there's a link through to Amazon. And if you are doing any Black Friday Amazon sales, any shopping this week, I would really, really appreciate it if you click on through the link in one of my videos. It doesn't cost you anything different. You'll pay exactly what you were always going to pay. You'll get it shipped the way you were always going to get it shipped. But what it does, I get a very small commission as a referral fee for you going through my link. So it's a little bit of extra money to help fund the channel. I've just spent more money again today. I've upgraded my internet because my internet wasn't the best. I was sort of struggling with some of my upload speeds and things for live streams, and I was getting a bit worried about it. I was kind of right on the edge of what was good enough for live streaming, so I've just upgraded my internet now. So I'll get a 16 meg upload speed now, where I didn't used to get anything near that. So if you're doing any shopping on Amazon and you click through the links on one of my descriptions, I really do appreciate that. Jack saying and Mark Mantic got their deals on the blog, just mentioned that. Nick from Bloggy there is saying he's been part of 2 gaming clubs. Just wish I had more time for gaming. Yeah, I feel that, mate. I'm quite fortunate that I feel at the minute I'm starting to make a lot of contacts with people. So, for example, the guys at Top Table, if I'm down in Manchester working, they've said kind of come and get some games down there. Jay was actually teaching me to play Keyforge last week. The guys at Altrincham as well, where Andy Sharp runs, they've invited me over on a Tuesday night. So I'm down there. So I feel even when I'm away with work, I'm making some kind of contacts. I can get some games in. My brother-in-law's playing now as well, Jason. I'm also kind of, like my family is starting to get into board games and that as well. So I've gone from not really having anybody to play to starting to get people to play against. It's just about, now it's the balance between, I can't always play the games I want to play. I have to kind of play the games I can get an opponent for. That's the only thing. Gary is saying almost every night there's something running, plus obviously Warhammer World, Mantic Mondays, Warlords Thursday night. Yeah, it must be, from that point of view, mate, it must be really, really nice to kind of have that around you. Pete's saying that Sarissa's got 10% off everything. I've also seen Deep Cut Studios. Their mats, I think they've got like something like 40% off at Deep Cut. That's something else to look out for if you're looking for a mat. Gary says he's rented space in the city that he used as an office for the day job, but we started running some nights and weekend events alongside a Yu-Gi-Oh group that use it Mondays and Wednesdays. That's a good idea. If you can kind of tie it together with something else so that you've got a space for, like you say, for work during the day, or if you've got your own business and you've got a bit of space that you can use for gaming as well, that's really good. Chris is saying we do some nice discounts on GW and Mantic. CarsonsBazaar.com. Hope it's cool to plug. Of course it is, buddy. I don't mind that at all. I mentioned before, Chris is starting up a store near me. The website's already up there. Head across and check it out. Certainly if you're looking for some Mantic stuff there as well, or some GW stuff, he's got some really good deals on there. So yeah, of course it's cool to plug that, mate. Not a problem at all. So, how are we doing for time? 10 past-ish 10. My voice is going with, I feel like I've not actually stopped there now. I kind of got thrown a bit earlier, I'll be honest. It was in between the beeping on the microphone. The stream looked like it was going to be funny. The guy that was kind of rabbiting away in the chat that kind of just caught my eye and threw me. I got a bit flustered, to be honest. I lost my train of thought. So, for anybody that's just come in, that wasn't in at the start of the chat, I just want to mention again, Wednesday night this week, 7 PM UK time, Top Table Gaming. Head across to Top Table Gaming's channel. Drop them a subscription. They'll have a live stream on Wednesday night. And as I mentioned before, watch it for 2 reasons. One is I'm going to be doing a guest appearance on it. I'm down in Manchester with work and they're doing their live stream. So I'm going to come on and do the live stream with them as well. So it's another chance to kind of have a chat with me on Wednesday night. And it'll be really good. We're in a bit of a thing at the minute where we're trying to kind of share the community and we're trying to grow the community around and trying to help each other out and trying to kind of, you know, as a YouTube channel, we're not against each other. We're all trying to do the same stuff. You know, we're all just trying to get content out there. So we're trying to help each other out. So yeah, I'll be down there doing the live stream with them on Wednesday, and we're also going to be doing something together, which we're really, really excited to talk about. Don't want to say anything about it now, but tune in on Wednesday and you'll find out exactly what it is. We're going to be doing something together that I'm really excited to talk about. Where are we? Vloggy is saying, yeah, he's asking Fly Mama how the week was. Chris is saying, so start a gaming club. Yeah, Chris, you'll certainly be getting it. Once you get settled in, mate, once you get settled, give me a shout and we'll have a chat and see if I can give you a hand to get something set, because I appreciate you be trying to run a business and anything else as well. It'd be good to try and do something locally. So let's why not kind of like, I'm trying to set something up, you're trying to start a business. Let's try and get it started, mate. I'll try and give you a hand at that. Chris is saying he'll be there on Wednesday. I'll be a little later, so won't catch the start. Be back in the house about 7:10 and grab some bait. Bloody buses. Yeah. I'm sure it won't happen in the first 5 or 10 minutes, mate. Not unless Jay or Steve burst with excitement. But yeah, we definitely got some good news. I think especially kind of, I don't want to say too much. King John says, Kings of War bat rep. I would love to do a Kings of War bat rep, mate. The only thing stopping me at the minute is I ain't got an army yet. So as soon as I get an army together, I'll be doing something. What I am doing, I forgot about this actually, is let me just make sure I don't butcher the gentleman's name. Where are we at? So a guy called Rob Jenkins he's a freelance artist, and he did a lot of the artwork, or he did certainly some of the artwork for Kings of War. He got in touch with me, and he's going to be he lives in France at the minute, but he's going to be in the UK for a couple of weeks in December. And he said, would I be interested in meeting up, coming to my place and doing a Kings of War Vanguard bat rep? So we're going to do that in December, early December. So I've got a guest coming to come and film a bat rep. I guess the other thing I say as well is if anybody else would like to come and film, as you can see now, we're all set up with a kit. The studio's kind of up and working. The table's there. I'm starting to build up some bits of terrain and stuff. If anybody would like to come and film a bat rep, let me know. You're more than welcome to come and hang out. I can provide you with tea and coffee. I'm sure I can even stretch you some biscuits. And we're more than happy to film a bat rep as well. Mark's saying, just check the Mantic blog. Okay, all my money is now gone on the cheap Dungeon Saga expansions. Yeah, I forgot to mention that, mate. I forgot to mention that one. And Carson's is saying, cool. No worries, Chris. Okay, so let me have a quick look in the Facebook group and let's see what's happening. We've had a few new members today as well, so thank you to Jay for giving the group a shout in his group. We're coming up towards about, let's have a look. I can't remember how many we've got in the group now. We're at 431. It'd be nice to try and hit 500 for Christmas. That would be quite good. I'm also how's my subscribers doing? Let's see how we're doing for subscriber numbers as well. We'll try and give that a bit of a push as well. So I'm at, it's been all over the place today. It's been up and down like a fiddler's elbow. I'm at 3,460 at the minute. I'd set myself kind of a target of trying to get to 4,000 by the end of the year, but I don't think I'm going to make that now. So I'm going to try and give it a bit of a push between now and the end of the year to get as close to 4,000 as I can. I'm conscious I've not really kind of covered any big games recently since Vanguard was probably the last big one I did. I had a bit of a spike when I did the kill team stuff. So I'm conscious that's kind of slowed me down a little bit, but I'm having fun. I'm enjoying what I'm doing, and that's keeping me going. I will have, as I mentioned in the Facebook group, I'm going to be covering Aristea soon. I bought that when I was at the UK Games Expo. Haven't got around to doing anything with it yet. So I've got those guys on the painting table at the minute, and I'm going to be getting those on the board. Jay from Top Table, keep mentioning those guys as well. Jay said he's got some terrain for Aristea that I can use as well. And what else we got coming? Maybe have a bit of Infinity stuff coming as well. More on that later. And yeah, we'll get some Walking Dead stuff. I'm in the middle of painting my Walking Dead stuff for the Winter's End tournament. So once I get that painted, we'll probably get that on the table as well. Me and Jason will maybe have a little battle of that because we're both going to the tournament. So we'll probably have a little bit of a battle of that on the stream as well, or maybe on the. Actually, it'd be quite nice to do that. I wonder if we can do that next Monday for the live stream. What do you reckon, Jason? If you're watching this, Jason, what do you think? Do you think we'll be ready for next Monday to give it a roll out on the live stream? How does that sound, folks? Would you like to see a Walking Dead game on the live stream next Monday? How does that sound? It might be a bit easier to play when if we're just playing it on the live stream rather than trying to get people to take part in it. I think that'll work a bit quicker. Matt says he's up that way in February. Get the hobnobs in. Definitely, Matt. Definitely, be good, mate. Keep in touch, and we'll sort that one out. Pete says he's got to go. The wife's calling, but thanks for the evening. You are welcome, buddy. You are welcome. Mark says always. Skullmunch says yes. Is that for the Walking Dead stuff? Is that right? Because obviously I'll have had to put in. Is that right? Yeah, I'll have had to put in my lists before then, so I don't mind. I don't mind showing what models I'm going to use by that point. So yeah, I might do that one. I'm not sure if Jason's in tonight or not, but I'll text him tomorrow. I'm sure he won't mind. So yeah, we might do that next Monday then. We might have a Walking Dead live stream. We'll play a game live on the stream and do that. That'll be cool. Right. Let me and Bloggy is saying all out war live stream. Oh hell yeah. Yeah. While I remember as well, so when we do go to that tournament, I'm going to be taking my gear with me to do some live streams from the event. So stay tuned to the channel for that. That'll be on the 2nd of December, the Sunday. So I'll try and do some live streams, and I'll upload them at the end as well so you can see them. I'm not sure how we're going to be able to do them from a sound and stuff, how good it'll be, because it'll be in a gaming hall. But we'll try our best at that one. But I'll try, if I can convince Jason to come over next Monday, we'll do a Kings of War. We'll do a Walking Dead live stream next week. Yes, everybody seems to be up for it. Mark's saying he's hoping to get the Walking Dead special edition on Black Friday. Yeah, it's half price, isn't it, mate? That's the special edition's what Jason got, my brother-in-law. That's what he got, and it's fantastic value for what's in that box. Brilliant. Excuse me. Chris is saying, once I've got Hayes Negan, how about your Winter's End team versus my army of Negan clones? Sounds like a challenge, mate. Definitely, let's do that one. Let's do that. I like the sound of that. Yeah, let's give them a run out. Definitely, buddy. Oh, I tell you what, my throat's drying out today. So, yeah, we're getting on now. Last 10 minutes or so. I just wanted to say today is actually it's a day Patreon are having a kind of a celebration day to say thank you to everybody that sort of supports creators on Patreon. So I'd like to say thank you to every single one of the folks that are my Patreons. You can support me on Patreon if you have a couple of spare dollars or a couple of spare pounds. All of that funds, all of that money goes into setting this kind of stuff up, getting it all ready, just kind of helping me keeping the content going. I would love to be able to at some point in the future maybe go drop a day from work and maybe do this kind of full-time 1 day a week, if you like. Try and kind of like take it on to the next level. My aim long term would be I would love to do this as my job, but I'm a long way off that. But everybody that is kind of supporting me through Patreon, everybody that is clicking on them Amazon links, all that kind of stuff, anybody that sort of drops donations, as you can see below, all of that thing, all helps me to try and get things where I can kind of up the level and get things like last week's Hayes Negan. It might not have gone as smooth as I would have liked, but it shows that kind of I've got the setup now to be able to make those kind of things a reality. So really happy with the support. So thank you to everybody that supports me. Flying Mama says no, I'm in York that weekend. Well, I'm sure they'll be there to watch later on as well. I'm just going to kind of set up a live streaming rig there because I'll be playing the games myself as well. I'm not sure I'll be sort of gaming on the. Will I be gaming on the stream? I might be gaming on the stream, but we'll see how that goes. Paul has done some fantastic scenarios for that tournament as well. If anybody, even if people are not going to the tournament, if you head across to waytofire.com/TWD. You can download the tournament booklet, and the scenarios are fantastic. It's worth having them, just even for playing at home as well. So even if you're not going, it's worth doing that. Carson's is saying I have 4 Negans. Yeah, I think I'm 2 or 3 now, to be fair. I went through all of my stuff when I was picking out my lists and stuff, and it's surprising just how much is in them. Because I got the Kickstarter box, I've got the waves in separate boxes. What I did was I took all the cards out, all the character cards. I took all the equipment out, and kind of all of the bits and pieces, and trying to kind of get myself this 250 point list. And it was like, oh gee, where do I start? There's so much. Let's see if I can find a picture. Actually, there was one of the guys in the. We've got a little what's it called? We've got like a messenger group for the tournament, and one of the guys posted a picture. I'll see if I can. I'm not sure if it'll let me show the picture on here or not. Let me try, because he's just been doing something really similar, trying to sort his. There it is. He's been trying to sort his list out. So there we go. So yeah, That's kind of what my table was like when I was trying to sort my list out. So as you can see here, these are all the character cards, and then he's got all the equipment and kind of upgrades and stuff all spread out, trying to work it all out. I was in a very similar position a couple of weeks ago, trying to do exactly that as well. So, yeah. Yes. So, who have we just got in? We've got XLI Cookie says, yo, really like your videos. Hashtag keep up the grind. Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed. I'll just I think while I've just been saying that, I think I might have actually just got another Patreon as well. So if it's one of you guys in the chat or one of you girls in the chat, thank you very much. That is very, very much appreciated. Have I got an email about it? Yes, I have. I'm not sure if that person wants to comment who it was. I'll let you comment in there. I don't. This is the thing. I never know about that kind of stuff. You know who you are. Thank you so much. That really is appreciated. If you want to make yourself known, please do. But I never know whether people want to kind of know, whether people want people to know that they're supporters or not. Because I don't really want to like outing them really. But thank you so much. That is massively appreciated, and it really does help. So thanks. But what I'll do is I'll very quickly show you. So this is my Patreon page. Let me just make my head a little bit smaller there. So as you can see, now what you'll see here is I have 12 Patreons. So thank you to those 12 folks. What you'll see here is it says that I make $72 a month. I don't actually make $72 a month, because from that $72, they take their payments from that as well. Then it gets converted into pounds, of which the pound to the US dollar rate isn't fantastic at the moment. So I don't make $72 or 72 pounds a month, but that's what kind of helps. So that what I've been doing is I've been kind of saving that up over time to buy cables, to buy microphones, to buy curtains, to buy kind of cameras, all that kind of stuff. So that's where that all goes. It comes back into the channel. That's where it is. And you can see there's a few different levels as well. There's some posts on here. Some of these are obviously hidden away. You see these when you're a Patreon. Some of them are public posts as well, just to kind of give you a little bit of an idea of what you can see. And there's a number of different things there as well. So thank you very much, that person that just helped. It's a Patreon as well, so thank you very much. Right, so let's have a bit of a wrap up. Where we at? BlackJack Painting Challenge. Some people have completed the challenge for this month. Really, really happy about that. So yeah, painting challenge almost done. If you're entering into my painting challenge and you're painting some Vanguard miniatures, don't forget to head across to the Vanguard Fanatics page where you can enter those same miniatures into that painting challenge as well. I'm helping Kieran run that over there as well, so I'm kind of keeping them two things going. What else we got? We've got live stream on Wednesday. Don't forget that. Top Table Gaming. We've also got next Monday live stream. What I need to try and do is to get the Monday like sort of tabs up earlier, because I always end up forgetting to do them, and then I end up doing them on a Monday, so they only remind you on a Monday that Monday night's happening, if you like. Next Monday, I've got to try and convince Jason first, but we'll try and do a Walking Dead live game next Monday. And I've just saw there, Matt's just commented as well. It says, I needed to make sure you have the best equipment to show off my abyssals in February. Thank you, Matt. Really do appreciate it. So thank you for being one of my Patreons. And what else we got? I think that's it for the moment. I'll have another video going up this week as well. I just need to finish editing that, and that is my game that I went to River Horse Games to play. It's a game called Crowdfunder. It's a card game called Crowdfunder about crowdfunding, and the project will be crowdfunded. So it's a bit of a tongue-in-cheek thing. The cards are really kind of nice, kind of sort of comic book sort of fun artwork. They're actually going to make a card in the game of me. I'm actually going to be in the game. I can't believe that's a thing. So that's going to be happening. And yeah, that video will go up this week. I'm going to try and do a bit of a sit and chat thing about Keyforge, because I honestly think this could be a bit of a game changer when it comes to card gaming. So I'm going to do a bit of a sit and chat about that one. I might do a bit of a hobby update video as well. That's something to ask really. Do you folks like to see kind of hobby progress videos? If you see the ones that Ash Barker does for Guerrilla Miniature Games, where he does these kind of on the table videos, is that something that's of interest to you? I always think that kind of the work in progress stuff from me maybe might not be so interesting, but is it something you'd like to see? I'm kind of getting into a stage now where this side of it, the filming side, is a bit more of a kind of it's easier to do. It's the hobby side, it's the painting and everything else that I need to spend some time on. But if I'm doing that, is it worth seeing? Is that something you want to see? So Flying Mammal says yes. I assume is that the painting bits and pieces you want to see? Or is it something else? King John says do hobby updates. Flying Mammal says whip yes. Okay. It's funny because I always wonder. I guess I'm quite like I'm not the world's greatest painter or anything like that. So I always think like, is it really worth me showing my stuff? But I guess if you guys want to see it, I can do it. If nobody watches them, nobody watches them. But I'm sure it looks like at the minute it seems to be a couple of people who want to see them anyway. Matt says yes, lots of hobby stuff, because I do spend time where I'll just be sitting kind of painting, a bit of a podcast in the background or something like that. Maybe I could do a live painting one night as well. Certainly with all the camera setups I've got now as well, could probably sit and have a chat like this while I'm kind of sitting doing a painting. So I might do a bit of an impromptu paint one time sometime. And Flying Mama says especially if it helps you hobby. Yeah, it definitely does, to be honest. Like anything that kind of motivates you. One thing I will say, I kind of got into a bit of a rut with my painting. I kind of not fell out of love with it, but I kind of had a bit of a mental block when it come to getting painted. And the one thing that's kind of kickstarted me again is I tidied up my hobby space. It was getting to a point where I just had, some of these shelves used to be up in my hobby room upstairs, and I had my miniatures and stuff on them. I'd had to take all the miniatures off them to bring the shelves downstairs. And my hobby room ended up as a bit of a mess, and it just really didn't kind of motivate me to want to get painting. So I had a good kind of tidy up, got everything sorted, and I started painting my Winter's End stuff today. So yeah, I'll get a bit of a painting update, a bit of a hobby update at some point as well. Everybody seems really happy with that. Yeah. Skull Munch is saying happy with whatever you're happy with. Are you still planning on doing digital gaming on your other channel? I am. The reason I didn't do any yet was because the internet just wasn't quite up to kind of streaming that kind of quality of image. I did a couple of things, but by the time when I was playing games online, so I was kind of streaming the video, and I was playing an online game. My internet just wasn't up to it, which is why it kind of took a bit of a stall. That's why I've upgraded it. My internet's much better now. I think I get like I get a 67 meg download and 18 meg upload now, so that should all be fine. I've actually ran a cable into to this studio now as well. So this stream now is hardwired. It used to be on wireless. Now it's hardwired as well. So that should help. So yes, I will be doing that. I just kind of need to get set with it really. Shaggy's saying always a good tidy up helps. It definitely does. Mark says he's took next week off work to complete his November challenge. Bloody hell, mate. That's quite drastic, but yeah, well done, no. We'll get it done. Chris is saying, now I can't stop painting to the point I now record it for video guides. Good stuff, mate. Currently working on Necromunda bulkheads. And Bloggy is saying, awesome news that you're going to be a card in the game. I hope you don't become too much of a celebrity. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, mate. I'm quite flattered by it, really. What I have to say though is that it's those kind of things are only possible because of your support. And when I say your support, I don't mean just financially. I mean the fact that you guys hang out in these live streams, the fact that you make them fun, you make them interesting. Companies see this kind of stuff. So in the last week, there's another company have been in touch with me that I'm really kind of quite proud about. Really, they're a relatively big company. They want to kind of send me some stuff to try out, to review, to play, to do with what I want. And those kind of things only come about because you folks watch the channel. The support from the Patreons and the support from anybody that pledges has allowed me to do all of this kind of cool stuff. And then you guys watching it, because I could spend millions on a studio, but if nobody watched it, what would be the use? The fact that you guys support me on Facebook, you support me watching here, you get down in the comments, all of that really helps. And companies are starting to notice. And so things like Mantic, things like River Horse, and this other company now, I won't mention it because nothing's arrived yet, so I want to make sure it all does happen. That kind of thing happens. So, Skullmunch says, sound good, combine the two and do some digital board games. Yeah, I'll do that. If you're up for it, actually, Skullmunch, what we should do is we should do a live stream of Keyforge one night. John saying King Blackjack with his crown. King John says Osprey. It's not Osprey, mate. It's not Osprey. But if Osprey want to get in touch, please do. Flying Mammal says go team. Yeah, it's Team Blackjack. It's everybody pulling together to make it happen. So by you watching and you supporting, companies want to get involved. That means I've got more stuff to share back with you, and everything makes a better place. Andy's saying, well done, mate. Getting your own card. Great achievement. And he says, right, I'm off to see my baby boy now. Yeah, I forgot to say congratulations, mate. I forgot because that was last week now, wasn't it? But congratulations. Right, we're slightly over time now. I'm going to wrap it up there because I've got to be up early for work in the morning. Thank you, every single one of you, for watching tonight. It's been another great chat. I'm looking forward to next week. I'm sure I'll be able to twist Jason's arm to get a game in. So thanks so much for your support. It's actually my birthday as well next Sunday. So Monday will be my birthday live stream. Not just the channel birthday live stream. Jack, it's not Games Workshop, mate. I am not that big yet, and it's not TT Combat either. They're not saying. I think I've actually already got Rumble Slam on the shelf behind me. My Rumble Slam stuff's all painted. So if you ever fancy a game of that, mate, give me a shout. Right. Flying Mama says I only watch for the cake. I think I will there. I think I'll bring some cake next week as well. So thanks everybody. Thanks very much. I will see you all in the next video.